And boom, we are live. We are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Rehired Live, the live broadcast I'm Peter Clark with Red TV, and my great friend, Fran Strine from Power Chord Films. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
I'm okay, buddy. I'm okay. I'm just hanging in there. You know, it's 2020. I'm just I'm hanging on by a thin a thread, as they say. Okay, so I know that you moved last week. How was the move? How are you settling in?
Man, I couldn't be any happier to be here. Yeah.
Awesome.
Everything's moved in, got all new furniture. Dogs getting settled in, been going to the beach and walking every day, several miles. So,
I love it. So you moved from the valley, generally speaking, so people know. Basically, he moved because of the weather. He's like minus. He's 25 degrees less, closer to the breeze.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks for everyone watching here today. We're live on a number of different pages and different platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Of course, all on the official sites of our great guests that we have today. You always come up with some great guests. You have some cool people you hang out with. I'm going to tell you, this has just been a joy doing this show and the people that you bring to the table and stuff. So let's talk about our amazing guest today, Eva Gardner. The connection to the movie Hired Gun, the great documentary that you brought to the world. Talk about how Eva got involved and how you guys connected for the film.
You know, I interviewed Mark Shulman, who's a drummer for Pink, and I want to say he played with Cher too, with Eva, and he's the one that recommended interviewing her, and interviewed her. Then we got Justin Derrico, the guitarist as well, who's probably one of my favorite guitar players alive. But she's just so great, and as a hired gun, you got pressure situations. And she showed me how good she is under pressure when we did the live jam at East West Studios, where she had to learn a song, under 10 minutes,
Come on. Okay, so she comes into the studio, you're saying, okay, we're going to film here, we're doing this, we're doing that. Here's the song.
It was Just What the Doctor Ordered by Ted Nugent, and it was a live jam. It was Kenny Aronoff, Liberty DeVito. It was a double drum thing, which was pretty cool.
That's right.
Eva on bass, Phil Lex, and Michael Fish Herring on guitar, and it was just incredible. Derek St. Holmes obviously on vocals, but she killed it, and she looked so happy up there playing. You see up there smiling, and having a great time.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about the film is that, like, you when you're watching the film, and again, we're talking about Hired Gun, everybody, so please make sure you get out, and I think it's still on Amazon Prime if you have subscription there. Of course, find legal ways to buy it or download it. But in that documentary, you kind of look in the background of almost every scene, and there's somebody you're like, who is that? And then you start doing the digging, you're like, you just can't believe what they've done. I mean, I've seen Eva before. I recognized her, her face and her look and everything, but I didn't know that, until you dig into it, like what she's done and accomplished, and just an amazing person. Of course, I had a really quick conversation with her to get things set up here today, and she's just a fabulous person as well. So, hey, let's talk about, by the way, the whole connection, another part of Power Chord Films. I just want to make sure that we're always taking advantage of talking about upcoming film. So there's an upcoming film in March. Talk about the connection with who we're talking about that's connected to Hired Gun, and the new film that we're talking about for March.
Yeah, so we'll be sharing some big news in the next week or so. Big news. Yeah. So the film is called Who You Gonna Call, on the story of Ray Parker Jr., who was once a hired gun for many years. And we're going to Switzerland, to Zurich. I think Ray and I are leaving September 22nd. We just actually received the official email from the Minister of Health there.
Wow.
And letting us come over and be special guests to do the Zurich Film Festival and do a world premiere there. I think we're screening it 2 or 3 times during the week and a half that we're there. So we're super, super excited. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, you jump some hoops to get over there at this time of the year and this time in 2020. And the connection point here, of course, is that Ray, like you said, it was in the film for Hired Gun and so on.
Right.
this new film. I've been privileged enough to see a preview of it. Unbelievable, everybody. Just another, Franz Stein film. Bottom line is that it's just an amazing story about Ray. And I just wanted to mention that because I think it's really important that the connection points between all of these musicians, they all know each other. They all been there, done that. And that's what makes this a lot of fun. So on. So without further ado, I think it's time to bring on our amazing guest today. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Again, we didn't want to spend so much time talking about, Pink and Gwen Stefani and Cher and Moby and Tegan and Sarah. We could talk all about that all day. But she is just one amazing artist. So let's bring her on right now. Please welcome everybody, Eva Gardner. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing great.
Right
Great
on.
to see you. Thank you so much for having me along today.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Thank you for joining us. We're so privileged to have you here, and good to see you. I mean, first question real quick. Everyone healthy? You're feeling good? You've been coping okay in the 2020?
Yeah. I mean, I think the phrase hanging in there is it's kind of the motto of the time, But
it is,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to kind of keep our blessings and make sure that we're all kind of figuring out if you're healthy and safe and so on. And of course, we have to ask about your two children, Holly, Willow.
Holly and Willow, my fur babies.
Are they doing good?
They're doing great. They're doing
Awesome.
so well. Yeah. I mean, you got to think about all the blessings and all the positive things. And, one of the great things has been being able to spend so much time with my girls, and they're, God, how old are they now? 16 and 14.
Wow.
Holly's going to be 17 soon. Willow's going to be 15 soon. So
Unbelievable.
just having this time with them has been really, really special.
I don't know about you, but Fang is going to be 16 in March.
Yeah.
And and like you, I used to tour a lot and be gone for weeks at a time, and I'd come home and be so excited to see me. But now, sometimes he'll like go in the other room because he's sick of seeing me. Do your dogs do that?
You again?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Another walk.
Completely over it. Yeah.
Well, I feel for the both of you guys because I'll share a story with you. I had a dog. I don't have one now because my heart broke at 16 and a half. So I had her till she was 16 and a half.
Wow.
And and I actually chose, of course, you choose the day that you want to help them transition. And I chose Valentine's Day for me because the heart was so big. So anyway, I know what I feel your love for your animals. I appreciate that you sharing that. So let's talk, Eva, let's jump right into the connection point with you and Fran about the movie Hired Gun, and then we can bridge off from there. When you got the call and somebody wants to say, hey, I want to put you in a movie, talk about that a little bit and maybe some of the memories you have of that connection point of being in the movie.
Sure. I mean, I was just so excited to be connected. And of course, Mark and I are like brother and sister. We've done so many things together and played with different artists together. And so for him to give Fran my information and recommend me, I thought was just super fantastic. And I've just felt so happy to be part of a film like that. Also, that highlights the lives of those of us that support artists out there and what it's like for us. So I'm glad that that movie was made, and I'm so happy to have been part of it. So thank you, Fran.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being in my movie. I mean, you made it that much better. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And what was the great connection point you mentioned about Mark Schulman is that, of course, you guys play full time. Well, I would say as full time as it can be, 12, 13 years now. If I'm not 12 or 13 for yourself, correct?
13. This summer will be 13 years. Yeah, 13 years ago I started with Pink. Yeah.
Right. So So Fran, I mean, the interesting part of your documentary of Hired Gun, I mean, there's 3 people that are in the band, in Pink's band, and yet individually they're considered, the top of the top of, for, I guess, Guns for Hire or Hired Guns. Was that a coincidence, or did you target that? How did that happen?
No, I mean, look, Pink is a huge artist, and when you're trying to sell a movie like this, you have to think about the business side of things. And if, you got to have some big names in there, and Pink is a big name. Billy Joel's a big name. Bon Jovi's a big name.
Sure.
And, but a lot of people, like I know, Eva, that you have, your own fan base, like Pinky's family and all the people in Europe and stuff, which is really cool. So it's kind of a treat for those guys that they're famous person in the band is getting some love as well. So that's always cool to see. You know, when the movie came out, I noticed a lot of that.
Yeah.
And yeah. Did you
Well,
notice that as well?
Well, it's such a supportive, I mean, her fans are just amazing. And it's just a supportive family all around. From, I mean, I've been there, it's 13 years and I'm still one of the newest members of the band. You know, I mean, Justin and Mark have been there longer than I have. Some of her crew's been there longer than I have. So it really starts from the top and on down to the fans, and just how loyal and supportive they are. So you know, we're all here supporting each other, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I know that Pink is very like family oriented and super loyal, sounds like. So I guess you'd really have to be a knucklehead to get kicked out, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I think that with a lot of what we do is how you perform and how you are as a player, but also who you are, you know, and who you are as a person, and how you foster relationships with people. And I mean, we're sharing very tiny spaces, and from the bus to dressing rooms to, you know, all the hours that we're not on stage. I mean, stage is just, it's 90 minutes to 2 hours out of the day. What do we do in the rest of the time? You know,
right.
So a lot of that is who you are as a person as well. And so she surrounds herself with amazing people.
Right. I remember when I was in Australia for a couple of weeks, every city I went to, it looked like Pink was playing there for almost a month at a time at each venue. Right.
Yeah.
So when you guys go over there for an extended period of time, do you guys hang out? Do you go to movies, dinner night together, or the beach or whatever?
We do all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be there. I mean, we were there one tour for 4 months, I think. And last time we were there for 3 months. So so we set up shop in each city that we're in for at least a couple weeks. And sure, I mean, the boss will host movie nights. She'll like, there's a place called Luna Park in Sydney, like a theme park, and it'll be the whole tour. It'll be band, crew, dancers, everybody, and we're all riding roller coasters together. And but that's just the kind of boss she is. You know, she's super inclusive, and we all hang out together, and she's always hosting really fun adventures. You know, we had another the one that comes to mind is like in Stockholm. We were in Sweden on a day off, and she organized something for the whole tour. So so it's great that we can, you know, of course the band members are all very, very close and share a bus, and same with the dancers. We all have our pockets, but we're also we also are really close with the crew. I mean, those guys are and gals are family too. So it's to foster those relationships. Like, you know, when there's 200 of us out there touring together, we're all part of this well-oiled machine, and every person is important. You know, every job is important, and it's important to me to really foster those relationships and show your appreciation.
Yeah, it's so important. Like you said, mention the idea. It's just like it's like a company. It's like an organization. I mean, it's not just the CEO. It's right down to everybody that plays a role in putting that on. Now, I don't want to dismiss, you know, how much people know about you. So a lot of people are tuning in right now on your fan base, you know, through your Facebook page and so on. They know your background. So I don't want to dig too much into that. I certainly don't want to disregard the idea. Your dad, you know, Kim Gardner, and that's where you know, a lot of your influence to play bass, and you know, maybe the same famous people that you grew up around, you know, part of that British invasion that happened, you know, in Hollywood, or I guess in Los Angeles in general, and so on. So I definitely want to recommend people go out and read about that. You've done a couple of interviews about that and talked about it, so I appreciate that very much. But one thing that jumped out at me when you were growing up and studying music, I love the idea that you studied music. You actually learned to read and write music and play music, but you studied something. You didn't even study. You graduated cum laude, by the way, everybody. Graduated with honors right here. Now I'm going to take a stab at it. Ethnomusicology.
Very good.
Ethnomusicology. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that big word is, I'm going to put it up in a second here. I had to learn about it, trust me. So, is the study of music in its social and cultural context. Okay. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is examine music as a social process in order to understand not only what music is, but what it is to the practitioners and the audiences. Now, that blows my mind. Why were you attracted to that, and where do you think that plays out today in your music today as you perform as a gun for hire or hired gun?
Sure. Well, prior to that, I was in more of a conservatorial setting, and the high school that I was in, it was a music a music school, an arts high school. So I did the more traditional conservatorial Western perspective. And I decided that if I wanted to go to college at all, that I wanted to study ethnomusicology and see what the rest of the world did. And luckily here in LA, at UCLA, they have the undergrad program in ethnomusicology. So a lot of the kids that I was in high school with, it was like, cool guys, we're all going to go to the ethno program together. So a bunch of us, it was an influx of LA County High School for the Arts kids that moved on and did ethnomusicology, and just seeing what else was out there. I mean, the West is just a very small part of music, and it's a very important part for us in the West, of course, but I just wanted to broaden my horizons and get some different perspectives.
Yeah, I love the idea that you're right away. The strategy was that you wanted to widen your understanding of music and how to approach it. Certainly, when you're playing music from different cultures, and I think one of the musics that you gravitated toward was sort of Middle Eastern. Am I mistaken on that?
I played in a Middle Eastern. I played upright bass in a Middle Eastern ensemble because upright bass doesn't have any frets, so I could play all those half flats and all those in between notes. So I was playing in a Middle Eastern ensemble, and also one of my other focuses was Indonesian music. I played Balinese gamelan, so I was in the gamelan there. And it's basically where in a situation like that, all the rules that we learn don't apply to that kind of music, and the scale is different, and the idea of musical format and arrangements is completely different. And so it's just basically like taking everything you learned and forgetting about it, and just gravitating towards what is specific to specific culture, because that made me realize that the West is just a Western notation, and the Western tradition is very particular. And there's other types of music that don't fit in our Western scale. They have their own scales, or they don't have a scale at all. So
that's amazing. So and so how do you think does any of that translate? I mean, here you have a degree in this. I mean, does any of that translate even today in pop, and how you approach some of the pop music, even your music that you're writing now? I shouldn't say pop music, just music in general. How does it play a role somehow, some way?
I think more in a broader scale, it plays a role. I mean, technically not so much, because I'm playing, like this a bass that is part of the diatonic scale, and they're set up in the Western tradition. So I'm playing Western music in a Western setting. But as a whole, spending 4 years and getting a degree in ethnomusicology just opened me up to just a different idea of approaching music, and having a different kind of appreciation for music. And there were teachers that would say that if you don't practice 10 hours a day, you'll never make money. And so sure, that's part of it. But like, what about, something I learned that was invaluable to me was other places around the world. It's not about money. It's about celebration. It's about rites of passage. It's about the harvest. It's about just an expression of their culture and who they are as a people. And it just plays a completely different role in their lives.
That's fantastic. I think that just automatically bridges for the idea now that you travel the world playing music. So when you go into these different countries and cultures and so on, I personally believe that this degree and your studying of that certainly opens you up to be more open of a person, just to be expressive with understanding their culture, the language, history, all that kind of stuff. Would you say that to be true?
Yeah, absolutely. And it also, I mean, one of the big things that I also realized is that everything borrows from everything, right? Like everything, there's influences from everywhere. So when you talk about like purity and authenticity, I feel like those terms aren't really valid a lot of the time and don't apply. So I think it's instrumental to have just a really open mind and an open heart about things, because art is inspired from all over the place.
Yeah, I love that when you said open heart. I love that. Fran?
I have to say another hired gun connection here. You play with Sarah, Tegan and Sarah, is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Gavin Fisher, who is the editor of Hired Gun, edited a majority of those videos that you I guess performed in.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow. I love that.
Yeah, well, the reason he's such a great music documentary editor is because he started off in music, like music videos, I guess. But he does all the Nashville stuff now too, like Blake Shelton and all those guys. But I
Oh,
thought
wow.
that was pretty cool. Yeah, and I got to tell you another Santa Monica connection. Did you get to record it all with Pink in the studio setting?
No, just
No?
live. We just do live setting. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say Butch Walker. I know he writes with her and produces some of her stuff. You know, Butch and I go back to our teenage years in Atlanta.
No kidding.
And we used to go into bars underage, and you know, he was like the local shredder back then. You know, and I don't know if you know, but he was signed in LA to a band. God, I can't think of it, man. But they were pretty boys. You know, it was pretty fun before Marvelous 3. South Gang. Was the name of the band.
Yeah, that's right. I did tour with Butch was on tour with us. A while back and toured with us in Europe, and that's how we got to know the guys. And I ended up later on doing a tour in Butch's band and playing percussion and singing and sitting in on bass with him. Yeah.
Oh wow,
which was a blast.
Yeah, he's fantastic. A lot of fun. That's for sure.
And hey, the connection. Go ahead. No, keep going, Fran. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, also when I first started getting into video production type stuff was when the decline of the album started happening. And they started packaging DVDs and CDs together. So there'd be like the making of the album. And it was at a studios in Atlanta called Ruby Red Studios. And he was producing Seven Dust, a metal band. And I was in there with the studio with him for 3 or 4 months, you know, filming all that stuff. And then from there, he invited me to do a live DVD with him. And he plays Atlantis like the Beatles come to town, right? It's just huge. So he played the Variety Playhouse, and we wound up filming that over 2 nights, I think, and packaging it. That came out several years later, I guess, with another DVD in Budokan or something. I don't know. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll tell you
small world. I love that.
The connection with Tegan, by the way, Tegan and Sarah, a friend, you probably already know this. You know where I'm sitting right now. So they are from this beautiful city. They live in Vancouver right now. And I know, Eva, you've been to Canada. Obviously, you've toured through Canada, and you've been to Calgary, Alberta, in their hometown as well. You've played here before, and anyway, we're just hoping you come back, and we'll fix all what's going on in 2020 first. Talking about other musicians, by the way, I want to lead you through a couple other things. Again, you so many people have influenced your playing, obviously, and you have influenced a lot of people. I just put up a little, and you can watch it later. I put up a little comment there where someone said, "You've inspired me to be a bass player." So,
I love that.
So that's very powerful. I just wanted to talk very quickly about the connection point of an amazing artist that's obviously a well-known bass player of Flea, and you guys came across each other for a little tiny period of time. Can you just share that little moment in time where you guys connected with each other through, I think at the time, was it the Mars Volta? Is that correct?
Mars Volta. Yeah.
So can you tell that little story there?
Sure. So I was the first bass player in that band, and I had recorded their first. It was an EP, and I had written a lot of material that ended up becoming an album later on, but I didn't record on the album. Flea ended up recording the album, and he basically learned the demos that I had recorded with the guys and learned the bass lines that I wrote, and that's what he put down on the record. And so I ran into him several years later at a Radiohead benefit in LA. And so we said hi to each other, and it was just such a special moment for me, because he said, like, I played your bass lines exactly how you wrote them. They're perfect the way they are. And I wanted to honor that. And to me, that couldn't have been more of a compliment, the fact that he just honored what I had created and put it down pretty much like studied my parts and all the nuances that are in there, and played them pretty much note for note and exactly the way that I had written them. So that was just a massive honor for me. And
that is a massive honor. Now, did you guys cross paths? Like, you cross paths at that point in time, and then throughout your career, I'm sure you've run into each other. And
I haven't seen him since then in person.
Okay.
But I mean, I have nothing but utmost respect for him.
I was just thinking, with some person like that has just said, "Hey, I love what you did. I went in, did something. I didn't change a thing." It's like,
what an honor.
That is That is an incredible honor. I just thought it was an amazing story, and then of course, you know, again, I don't want to dismiss the idea. I mean, Gwen Stefani, you played with Cher, you played with Moby. I noticed the other day, I saw a video. I think it was 2008 or something, where Moby was playing. What's the song called? Southline or South? And Gwen's with him, so they played together.
Oh yeah.
Is it because of those relationships that you kind of found your way around that circle, or
actually a completely different avenue? I started playing with Gwen through when I was playing with Cher. Our musical director ended up doing the Gwen Stefani musical directing for her, and so he called me up and asked me to join in there. So it's just like all these stepping stones that kind of lead you from one gig to another, and it's and then from that's the Gwen Stefani gig is how I met one of the guys from there, and then when he went on to do Tegan and Sarah, that's when I was recommended for that. So it's just like this, you know, jumping from lily pad to lily pad, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What's interesting about that is like you see other artists come together like that. And the same with in your movie, Fran. I think Alice Cooper says that. He says all the big you know, bands and people who front bands, if you will, they know all the A players. He said in the film, he knows all the A players, and of course Eva is one of those A players that he's talking about. You know,
you know, you can't underestimate the job of a musical director either. Because some of these people, you know, Chris Johnson to you and a lot of other players are just like, man, the musical directors got me into even some of the like American Idol, or even I know for Justin for his gig and The Voice, you know, he got him over there. I got a question about Cher though. I do a lot of work with Dolly Parton, and I hold those two in the same regards of like iconic, legendary people that everybody loves, no matter what. Is she as cool as she seemed like on television?
She's
or
so
cooler?
cool. She's like, she's too cool. Like she's just, I mean, like you said, she's an icon, and she's hilarious. Like that's one of the things that she's just like, she's a crack up. She's got a potty mouth. She just doesn't give it, you know, she'll just say it. She'll just say it, and it's out there. And she's a total badass. And again, what an honor.
Same thing with Dolly, man, because a lot of people see the Dolly on television and wonder if she like that in real life. I got to tell, I've spent a lot of time with her and, you know, close quarters, and she's Dolly Parton 24/7. And surprisingly, you know, she can be a little, you know, crassy as well. You know, it's just to hear her talk like that, where you're doing a photo shoot or just hanging out, is it's pretty hysterical.
You gotta love that sass, and they're just not afraid to be who they are. I love that.
Not at all. Yeah.
Just that says a lot for you, Eva. That says a lot for you, for them to want you to be around, though, too. I mean, obviously, someone like Cher or Dolly Parton, but Sharon specifically that you've played with, she doesn't suffer fools, right? I mean, you're going to show up and you played for the residency. I think you performed in those songs, and I remember you saying somewhere I read. And it must be pretty cool, because I'm just thinking of the age difference, obviously. Like you hear these songs like you know, think of her classic songs like Gypsy Thieves. Was it
Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves?
Thieves. Like you hear these songs, and then all of a sudden you're up there actually playing them. You must be going, what the? Like, is that me? Like you're thinking, am I part of this? Like, you know, I got you, babe. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
the tour that I did with her when I started playing with her in 2014, the tour we were on was the first time she started playing. She didn't play "I Got You, Babe" for you know, ever really for years, and so that tour was the first time she actually like brought it back into rotation. So we were learning that song again, iconic, like just playing that song and being on that stage and sharing that stage with her. And my mom came to the first show that I played with her, and she used to sing that song to her best friend when they were teenagers. And just seeing my mom, like, you know, in the front row, just like tears in her eyes, and just such a full circle weird moment, seeing like her child on stage with her playing this song that she sang to when she was a teenager. And
that's what I'm thinking.
It was a moment. It was a moment for me.
Yeah, exactly. Fran, it would be just like, hey, if you're all of a sudden I see you hanging out with, like, you know, who Luke, you know, George Lucas or something. You know, I'm thinking like, hey,
man, I saw George Lucas every morning at Starbucks while I was in Northern California.
That's right.
Yeah,
You did
kind of hung out with him a little bit. Yeah.
We'll just say,
I mean, he lived 1 block over from me in Marin County. And I'd go to Starbucks on 4th Street right there in San Rafael. And every morning at 9 a.m., he was there getting a coffee for him and his wife. But I never said anything. I just left him alone. You know, he definitely does not look like he wants to be bothered. So
yeah, good call.
Looking back, do you wish you would have said something, or do you feel good about staying back?
I thought, it's weird, man, because my favorite actor is Tom Cruise. And when we were mixing Ray's movie and Skywalker, we actually mixed both movies at Skywalker Ranch, Hired Gun and Ray's movie. Cool. And the next room over where we're mixing Ray's movie, they were mixing the new Top Gun movie, Top Gun 2. And Tom Cruise comes in on a helicopter, of course, and lands in the baseball field. You know, it's him and Jerry Bruckheimer. And I did say hello to Jerry Bruckheimer, but I respected Tom Cruise and just left him alone. You know, I walked past him in the hallway. Yeah. But it's weird, man. Even when we won this big award with Kodak, you know, I'm in the room with Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino and have to speak in front of them, but I never spoke to them. You know, I just was like, I wanted to so bad, but I didn't. But besides, like a hello, you know, to try to strike up a conversation with them. But
it's a fine line, right? Like you want to be respectful of their time and their space, but at the same time, you're like,
I know. Other than saying, congratulations, Quentin, on your Lifetime Achievement Award. That was really about it, you know. Yeah. But I definitely wanted to pick his brain, but that's not the place. You got to kind of know, you know, your limits, and
you really
you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
I got a question too on stage performing. I know that Alice Cooper really welcomes his musicians to come up and be part of the show. And just from seeing what I've seen with Pink, she's pretty flexible as well, and maybe even Cher. Do they give you, like the musical director or the artist or management, ever give you boundaries of where you're supposed to be and not to outshow the star or try to?
Well, so, I mean, when you're working with an artist, like you should know your place anyway. You know, you should, that's part of like being hired and keeping your gig and maybe hopefully even being rehired, you know, like that's just knowing your boundaries and being respectful of those boundaries. So I think that that's a big part of it. And it also depends on the artist. It depends on the show. Like if we're doing like festivals, sometimes we're doing like festival show, or we're doing a club gig where there's not dancers or a big production, there's more room literally and figuratively to kind of move around a little bit more. There's more freedom there. But when we're doing the big production show where there's moving parts, there's the sets moving, there's dancers, there's aerialists, there's a lot going on. There's definitely scripted moments where there's, you know, maybe I'll have to come forward in the stage, or there's things that we do. But that's all part of the show. And again, it has to be, it's scripted because, you know, not only for safety reasons, but, you know, it's a show, you know, it's a written show. So it just depends on the circumstance. And with Pink, definitely, like, she's awesome because she does give everybody a moment. You know, she does acknowledge her band. She introduces the band and the dancers during the show, and not everybody does that. And which is fine either way. But the fact that she takes the time to acknowledge the people that share the stage with her is huge. And so to have that I think is really special, and that just makes it even more of an experience for everybody involved.
Sure. I remember interviewing Rudy for Hired Gun, and he was he was like, when he was in Ozzy's band, you know, he was going nuts, and Sharon was like, okay, settle down. You're settle down. So Rudy would literally stand at one spot, but he became the show in his one spot with the lifting the bass and pounding it, doing the show, right?
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
I put that picture up because of what you're just talking about, Eva. Of course, you know, there's an example. Tell us about, I know you know where that picture is and some of the people in it, obviously every person in it. This is in Wembley, I think from last year or something.
Yeah,
again,
last year.
Lots of space in Wembley, I'm guessing. Tell us who's in that photo if you don't mind, and share with everybody what we're looking at there.
Yeah, this is the Pink Band during our sound check at Wembley Stadium last summer, this time last year. It was in last June, I think. So, and we played to 80,000 people 2 nights in a row.
Wow.
both sold out shows. And for us, Wembley Stadium, it was just such a huge pinnacle. And you can tell by our faces, we're just so happy to be there. And it's just an exciting experience.
Fantastic. Can you take us through like who everybody is, generally speaking? Because there's like 3 people in this shot, right? Everybody that's in Hired Gun, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Starting on the left, it's Justin Derrico, who Fran mentioned earlier, is the guitar player, and then Mark Schulman on drums, also in the Hired Gun documentary.
Right.
Stacy's one of our singers, Adriana, who's our keyboard, guitar vocals, Jenny, vocalist, and then there's yours truly, and then Jay, who has been her MD since 2001. He's been with her since 01.
Oh, okay. So this is the musical. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
our touring musical director.
Okay,
fair enough. Jesse Green, our violinist extraordinaire. Yeah. So we were the band for we were out for 2.5 years.
So Stacy, the backup singer, right? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Stacey did she back up? Yeah. Did Stacy back up for Toto?
That's Jenny.
Jenny did.
Jenny
okay.
Right in the middle.
Yeah. So the reason I bring that up, we're watching Hired Gun just doing a private screening for some of the guys that didn't get to come to the screening you went to, and one of them was Steve Lukather.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he pointed her out. He goes, "She's sang backup for us."
Yep.
Such a small world. Yeah.
It's a tiny world. It's a tiny world. Well, I'm glad you shared that because I know that you and Mark have played together. So how long have you, Mark, been in the band? The same amount of time? Or
Mark started in 2006.
Okay.
I believe maybe the end of 2005, and then 2006, and I started in 2007.
Okay, so really close together.
13 years, yeah.
You've talked about Mark. He's such a hard-hitting drummer. I mean, you have to fill up that big bottom end. So if you're looking at Wembley Stadium, you have songs that start with just the kit, and then all of a sudden you jump in. Specifically, I'm thinking of So What, for example, right? Like just like the drums start off, you kick in. And so, talking about the idea of your relationship that you have on stage with the rhythm section, can you share a little bit about that, about the communication? I'm thinking about the communication part. You have to hang out together, you have to work together, but I think you have to be, as a person who's, I don't call myself a drummer. I've played drums before. I'm not a drummer, but I know what it takes to really work with the bass player and vice versa. Can you talk about that relationship you have with Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a vital relationship as part of any band. It's the meat and potatoes of a band. It's the foundation that everything else can build off of. So having that relationship, and it's funny because all of my best friends are drummers. And it's like I date guitar players, but all my best friends are drummers, and like my solid brothers and sisters. And so just having that relationship, I think musically and just in general, obviously it spills off the stage, right? Because if all my best friends are drummers, there's a connection there. We were setting up for one tour. I remember one time, and we were in production rehearsals, and they had built up the set and the stage, and they gave Mark a drum riser. And I remember we were playing through the thing, and I was like, I couldn't see him. There was some part of the set that was right in front of Mark, and that was a massive issue, right, for us as a part of the band. So we had to talk to the people, and they had to shift it so that we could see each other. And you never really realize how such a subtle thing, but such an important thing when you're on stage together is just being able to look at each other, not just hear each other, but being able to kind of connect in a visual way as well. That's what
I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking that you guys can literally now, you see, obviously you can close your eyes and kind of know where each you're going. I guess you can feel where he's going sometimes, but that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you about that. Do you have a lot of leniency with that, or is it really, really hardcore cut? Because of the musical direction that, hey, this, he can't take you somewhere, you can't take the band somewhere. Is that a true statement? That
it depends. There's some moments where the band is we have with Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, we were playing that, and there's a moment where just the band's rocking out together. So during that time, there's a little more room for us to kind of do our thing. And but again, it's just communicating with everybody that's on stage. And if I just little nuances, if I see Mark, his hand moving towards a cymbal, I know there's going to be a hit probably. So I'm prepping, it's all just setting yourself up, and it's a language. Music is a language, right? So we're up there having a conversation on stage, and just like someone is having a conversation in person, or like, when you're texting somebody and things can get misconstrued and things get lost in translation via text, and you really need to hear like the person's voice or the inflections, or if you're in person, like their little subtle facial expressions. It's all part of understanding and communicating and really being clear and on the same page about everything.
Yeah. And again, 12, 13 years, I'm thinking that what's so magical about it, I'm thinking, is that when one of you probably for some reason or is a little distracted, maybe not the best show of the night, you can pull from each other, I'm guessing, right? You can.
Yeah. And you can, if you hear somebody's having a rough night or whatever it is, or if the boss is struggling, like we all sort of rise up and just kind of, you're there to support each other and just really just kind of give it a little bit more to pull them back in, or just really offer support, because your stage it's when you're on stage, you're performing, it's your thing, and sometimes it's technical difficulties, sometimes it's just whatever's going on, someone's not feeling their best, and so we do what we can do to lift each other up and support each other.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. Now, listen, we could sit around and talk about Pink and Mark Schulman and all these other people, Cher and everyone else. I want to talk about you right now. I want to talk about new music. Let's talk about some new music. And of course, you have some music that you've put out in the past. So I'm going to put something up along the bottom for everybody. Let me make sure I get this right. You can go to evagardner.bandcamp.com. Now, I put in www and it came up for me. So, but if you go into your whether it's Chrome or whatever you're using for your navigate, evagardner.bandcamp.com. So find all your music there, which is great. But let's talk about something that you've put out just recently. It was the end of, the end of 2019. And of course, we never get a chance to really push into 2020 with getting out to play music and so on. Let's talk about your last project, something called Love and Drugs. And I know you said you had your guitar there, so I'm gonna beg you to pick that guitar up. So can you grab your guitar and maybe let's just talk about the song, talk about how you wrote it, talk about maybe some insights of how you write songs, and then we can, by the way, everybody, we are going to play some live music right now, hopefully, and we're going to see how that goes. Hopefully Facebook will not shut us down here. Love this guitar. Tell the story about this guitar. Oh my God.
So
I love this guitar.
I was in Guitar Center probably, I don't know, about 13 or 14 years ago with one of my drummer buddies, Sal, who again, drummer besties, and I saw this guitar up on display, and I was like, "What's that stupid guitar?" And the guy that was working there was like, "Just pick it up and try it out." And I was like, "Okay." And then I played a few chords, and I was like, "I'll take it. This thing is awesome," just because it was just really fun, and it's easy to play, and it's a Martin, and it's limited. They only made 200 of them. It's called the hippie guitar. The hippie guitar.
Love
and it's
that
just
guitar.
fun, It's like, why not?
That was born for Laurel Canyon, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That was born for that. And we'll get to that story in a minute about the Cat and Fiddle, but that's another story that's coming. So tell us about this latest song. And it's, I guess for some people who know you, it's not strange to see you with a guitar, but of course you play multiple instruments, and of course you write your songs on guitar. Talk to us about, the process of writing this particular song, because I'm sure it's different for each song, but this one particularly, you wrote it on a guitar, and tell us a little bit about how it came about.
Yeah, my writing process varies. Sometimes I start on different instruments, but this particular song I wrote on guitar, and it was just one of those moments where I was like, whatever, why not have everything? Like, why do you have to pick and choose? And it was just a song that just came out, and I ended up, during this time that we've been on lockdown, I've taken the opportunity to just deepen my knowledge of logic and engineering and recording. And so I decided to just go ahead and record a song all by myself. And because you can now, the technology's there. And since I was in lockdown, I just took the time to kind of like expand my skill set in that respect. And
yeah. So the actual song, I've listened to the song multiple times myself, and we're still going to play the video because the video is actually not too long, so we can enjoy that coming up. But just talk about the process of this particular song. Now the chords in that, to me, they have this minor feel, but I don't think you're playing minors in this thing. Is that correct? Take me through that feeling, because there's a feeling in there, and then of course the chorus is very,
it opens up.
Yeah, it opens up. So I'm just wondering again, that process of how you decided the structure of the song.
It's just I don't know. It's like with this song, there wasn't a lot of, it just kind of came out. You know, there's some moments where you just pull. Some songs take a little bit longer to tweak and work with. And for this one, I think part of the idea was me not editing myself, because the idea of the song was like, who cares? Whatever. I want everything. Like, love and drugs. I want it all. Who cares? And I think it's just that whatever energy I was feeling at the time, the song just kind of birthed itself. And it was a great feeling, because a lot of times when you overthink a song or overthink something creative that you're doing, you start editing yourself and you start doubting yourself and you go back and forth, and it takes you forever to actually finish it. And which happens sometimes, but I think just whatever I was feeling on that day was just kind of like, this is what's happening. And it was actually a really liberating feeling, because once you just let yourself go and just let yourself be the vessel and just not edit yourself, that's when you can finish ideas, and it's fun.
Makes a lot of sense. I think Fran can relate to that. Fran is like, you just got to decide when to put the camera down, get that last shot. Right?
I don't know. Yeah, it's like, even when you're editing a song down or whatever. For me, when I'm doing any sort of editing, it's like when you do it to death. Yeah. It either sounds or looks like white noise, and you just got to walk away from it and come back to it another day and finish it out. So I'm with you. Sometimes your first idea is the one. Yeah. And you start overthinking it and like, can I make this better? Well, no, you can't, because what you started with is the best. And that happens too, like when you're writing or when you're demoing songs, or whatever the case may be. So many times it's like that first take was the best, or the demo vocals were the best, because the energy's there, and trying to imitate it or redo it, it's just the magic's not there. Yeah. So that was something valuable that I learned, is like when you're demoing, like make it sound good, because those demos, like those vocals, those tracks might have that magic that you can't recapture later. So, well, on Prince's second record, Warner Brothers, or his label was at the time, tried to get Ray Parker to produce it, and Prince brought him the demos over, and he was like, "You don't need me. This is done." And in hindsight, Ray's pissed, because he could have made millions and millions of dollars, but he's just like, just told the truth. It's like, there's nothing. Why would you do anything to these songs? They already sound fantastic, and that's what he put out.
Absolutely, makes a lot of sense. Okay, so Eva, would you take us through that song if you're so kind? What do you think? Do you want me to jump to the video? I think we should hear that beautiful acoustic guitar, and then we'll hear your production. Just a quick note on the production before we see the video part after the acoustic version. You said I just recorded a lot of these songs myself. Of course, you reached out to your drumming friends, and who played on. I didn't check on the credits and stuff, but who played on the tracks?
Mark played on this, Mark Schulman. So I recorded everything except for the drums. Basically, I programmed the drums just to have something to write to, and then he went in his studio and recorded them, and then that was and then the magic of the internet and technology. You can do that now.
We can do. Well, here we are.
We don't have to be in the same place to make music together.
Apparently. Well, listen, you're in one place and that guitar is there. Why don't you take us away to that song? We'll do an acoustic version of Love and Drugs, and then when we come back, we'll jump out to the video. Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. All right, here we go. Like a taco truck, it's giving me the hiccups. Sitting at the counter in a dingy diner, feather in my hair, wild and free, and I don't care. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. Love and drugs see the world from It's 2 a.m. and the jukebox is on. Keep the music going to the break of dawn. Glitter everywhere, wild and free, and I don't care. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. Love and drugs, see the world from above. Again and again. Again and again. Again and again. Let's do it again. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. Love and drugs, see the world from above.
Awesome. I love that. Now, listen, I got to tell you something. I freaking love it like that. The acoustic version of that. Now, take this. I hope you take this with the way I'm meaning to say it. I hear. Listen, that sounds like something that could have been on an unplugged Nirvana thing.
Wow.
Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
Thank you. That's amazing.
I know. Just think of his voice on top of what you just did, just with the acoustic. I can hear that like it's an MTV Unplugged with Kurt Cobain.
Well, that was one of the only things I probably listened to when I was in high school anyway, so that makes sense.
Does that make?
I was a total Nirvana head when I was in high school.
Is that right? So again, I don't want to read into anything, but did you
See,
think
everything's
of that?
borrowed from everything, right? Like art, you're just influenced by everything, whether you know it or not. It's like you
absolutely. Well, listen, I love that version. I hope you do an acoustic version. I think you should.
Thank you. Oh, maybe I will.
Mm-hmm.
I think an unplugged version of that would be freaking brilliant. Yeah, I love it.
I like it.
But
Thanks.
with that being said, I think we should look at your the job that you did on this great video. So tell me a little bit about the video. Who did it for you? And I know it was done during the shutdown, so you had to be very creative with your background.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the video we're about to see.
So it's funny. Originally, I was just gonna do it on my own because it was like that's just kind of where we were at back a few months ago. And so I was literally just going to shoot something on my iPhone and just like run around my neighborhood and do that. And so then I was talking to a friend of mine about it, my friend Jessamine Violet, who did my the Dirty Bird video. And I was just telling her about that. And I was like, I think I'm going to do video and just run around with an iPhone. She's like, well, if you want help, I'll help you. I'm not doing anything. And it'd be nice to collaborate on something and work with somebody doing something right now, and we can make sure we're socially distanced and all that. And so I said, cool, awesome. And then the iPhone idea graduated to her reaching out to another friend for iPhone advice, filming on an iPhone. He's like, well, hey, he's a DP. And he was like, well, hey, I'm down for the cause. So he came in and helped out. So it just kind of grew into actually doing a video with actual people that know how to use cameras. I was like, Fran, I was ready to call you and be like, hey man, can you give me I need some editing advice, any tips?
Hit me up anytime. I'm sitting around doing nothing. Yeah.
But I was so glad to actually have people help. And it was actually really great to just collaborate again. And so we were limited obviously on locations and so it was literally in a backyard on the streets of downtown LA and then the Cat and Fiddle because it's our family.
Because it's a cool place.
I got a good location, no location fees. So
right.
Right.
Yeah.
The insurance was really low and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. So we did with what we could with what we had and just had some fun. And again, why not? Right.
I thought it was cool. So again, we tested it today, everybody. So just so everyone knows, when you're on Facebook Live and so on, as soon as you play anything that's attached to anybody anywhere, they just shut you down. So we tested it today. So we got through most of the show, just so Eva, just so you know, if all of a sudden, the internet shut us down, but we did play it today and it went okay. So we're going to play it here live for everybody watching the show here.
Cool.
I think you did a great job. As soon as I
you.
saw the background and what you were doing, I said, okay, we'll talk about that in a second. She's worked in there, but she's worked in a pub before. She's been in one or two pubs.
Definitely poured a few drinks or two.
Yeah, I'm thinking
that. Years.
All right, without further ado, and everybody, by the way, Eva Gardner .bandcamp.com is where you're going to go to be able to download this and other music from Eva. So I want to make sure that got out there. All right, without further ado, let's go and rock and roll. Come on.
That was awesome.
Wasn't that awesome?
I gotta say,
don't
be surprised if I call you one day to use that bar as a location.
Hey man,
that's
anytime.
Awesome. Holy shit.
Isn't that cool? Listen, that's a great
is.
job. And whoever edited it for you, who did most of the editing?
That was Jessamine Violet. Yeah, she's amazing.
Great job. Really Congratulations on that. Yeah, that's a little bit farther than a cell phone. And it's fantastic. Yeah. I love the fact that, you brought in, the idea that you worked the pub part, the cat and fiddle and stuff, because I want to jump to that. So everybody, first of all, video-wise, congratulations. Fantastic. Eva Gardner .bandcamp.com. Please go out and support music people. Everybody, please go there and support. I want to talk about the pub because this is really important. I bring it up because it's a family business. Tell us a little bit about that cat and fiddle background. As soon as I saw you doing all that, I said, okay, she's done this before. So tell everyone about the cat and fiddle, because I think it has an historic connection to your family and the location out there and everything you've ever done. So with your family.
Yeah, well, besides bass playing, the pub is the other family business. And my dad opened it when I was 3, and it was originally in Laurel Canyon, and it was there from 1982 to 84, and then we moved to Sunset Boulevard. We were there for 30 years, and we just moved to the current location 3 years ago. And I literally grew up in a pub. And
awesome. I love the fact you grew up in a pub. I'm going to take everyone around. Look, listen, just to remind everybody how small the world is. Okay. just to check everyone's ego. That's where we all are just right now, just so you know, but let's go watch this. Let's just see if we can go find this pub. I think we can zoom in and find this.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't this cool? We're going to go and find it. I hope I got the right address.
You sure did. You sure did.
We are
Yeah.
in Los Angeles. Look at this. And now if I was like, oh, I'm gonna find it. If I was,
Wow.
no, this is my dream, Eva. I'm gonna have a beer with you down there. I'm gonna have a pint with you. I guarantee that. And so let me says if I said, let's go down and have a look. I'm looking for a pub. I'm driving along. I'm visiting from Canada. And then I'm like, I'm gonna go for a drink down the street. Oh, and there's the Cat and Fiddle. There it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
So everybody, there's the beautiful Cat and Fiddle. Now you guys are open now, right? Are you?
Yes. Yeah. We've been doing takeout and delivery this whole time. Luckily, we've had that ability to do that. But we have an outdoor patio. So thankfully during this time, we're able to see people for dine-in because we've got that outdoor space.
Bingo. I think it's so important for people to know that. And I'm plugging this to death because I know it's a family business and it's important that we tell everybody where to go and find this. So what is it about the pub? Why did your dad want that? Why did and obviously you love it because it's still in the family, because that's a tough business, running a pub restaurant. Where did that passion come from?
So my dad was from London. He was a bass player from London. And when he moved to LA and moved to Hollywood, there was no pub in Hollywood. And pub culture is massive to the Brits. So since there wasn't a pub in Hollywood, he was going to open his own. And it was a place for him to, oh, that's my mom.
Is that your mom right down? I'll ask you who that is.
That's my mom.
That is fantastic. Let me see if I can go back and stop that picture. I can't seem to stop that. Oh, yes, I can. There's a pause there. Hold on. I'll get it in a second. But so do you still work at the pub? Tell everybody. Yeah.
Yes. So since I've been home, I mean, we haven't had a staff, unfortunately, because of the shutdown and lockdown. So it's pretty much been, I've been there helping my family, my mom and my two sisters. And we all there, and we have a skeleton crew there right now. So we're just stepping in and I mean, it's just like riding a bike for me, or just like pouring a beer for me, basically.
Right.
It's like, as soon as my sisters and I were old enough to be put on payroll, which is 16 in the state of California, we all were put to work. So I've over the years done everything from, I was in the office hosting at 16, and the office at 18, bartending by 21. So in between tours, that's where I was pouring drinks and tending bar and
fantastic,
helping with the
and family. Is that your mom? You said this is your mom in the picture?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic! God, I should have reached out to her and got her on here, and that would have been fun.
She would have loved that.
Would she like that? Because I love
that. I'm sure.
I love that stuff. I really do. And the reason why I also want to show this part of it too, because I know, listen, this is a family business. It's been around a long time, a lot of history there.
40 years almost, yeah.
And we just saw that amazing video, and I just thought I just love the coolest thing that you guys have done here is that you got a virtual tour here. Yeah. So people can look at this thing. I mean, everybody, this is so cool. And when I saw this, I said, I love it because now I recognize where you did the video. Look at this, everybody. How cool is this? All right. So what I love about is that where the bar was?
That's it. That's exactly right.
That's what I thought. I loved it. I think that's fantastic. And I love the fact that you guys look at the detail of what you've done here. I mean, I just think it's fantastic. Okay. On that food part right there, Eva, tell us what's your favorite. Where is it here? Hold on. Right along there. Which one is it? Let's see
what we got there.
Oh, you got
our fish and chips are classic, of course. I mean, that's classic British fare. Fish and chips, shepherd's pie, Scotch egg, sausage rolls. Yeah, those are fish and chips.
Right.
Got a Scotch egg on there. The desserts are ridiculous. Sticky toffee pudding. I mean, we make everything in house. It's all homemade. Our staff, our chef's been there since I was like a kid. Like all the people that are there have been there since we all grew up. It's like, again, another family.
Right.
It's been the same staff since I was a child, and
I love the layout of what you've done here. Look at this. I just love this. I want to show it very quickly for everybody. And of course, you can move out here. Look at this.
So that's where people can enjoy a meal now.
I love that. So that's where everybody. So I'm just showing you where I'm going to come and join you for a pint. Okay. I looked at this. I went over here and I saw this table. I want to show you where I want to be over here somewhere. It's in behind there. It's over there. Let me just go over there somewhere. It's in behind there. There's a little, there it is there. That
bench.
Little
Yep.
Yeah, right there.
There you go.
I want to be right there. I want to be right there at the Cat and Fiddle. Look, and then look over here, and Fran and Ray and you will be right there.
I like it. I like where you go with this.
And we're just hanging out. And look at this, everybody. Look at this. Isn't this cool? Beautiful blue skies. So listen, I wanted to share all that with everybody because I know that's a big part of your family. And And of course, during COVID and everything in 2020, we have to go out and support local business. So everybody that knows Eva and her family and all that's related to that, you got to go out and grab a pint, get out there. Now, here's what I also wanted to do. So I just thought it'd be fun. I'm going to test you on something. I know that you got your license, so you poured drinks there all the time, did you not?
Oh yeah.
So I guess would you call yourself what would you call, are you a mixologist? Would you call yourself a mixologist?
I mean, I would say a bartender before. I mean, mixology, that's kind of a like when I started doing it, we were bartenders.
Right. Got it. Okay. I'm going to just test your skills here. I just came into your pub. I'm sitting down in that corner down there, and it's happy hour and the cocktails are on for a really good price, by the way. Piccadilly Pims. I want one of those. What goes into a Piccadilly Pims?
Yeah, that's one of our house cocktails.
Yeah. What is it?
So it's Pims, muddled with cucumber, and we've got a little bit of lime juice in there. We've got a little bit of simple syrup, and it's topped with ginger beer.
Ah, it is. You are a rock star.
I guess I could be a mixologist. I guess you could say that now.
I guess
that's the new term for barkeep.
All right, that does 100%. You got a net. I'll throw one more. I'll throw one more. Old English rye.
English rye. Oh, so that's like our take on an old fashioned. So it's Dickel rye, and we've got some simple syrup. We've got chocolate bitters, yes, and the flamed orange.
Oh, wow. Boom! You are a rock star, like literally and figuratively. It's fantastic.
Thanks.
You just got it down. So, hey, I just wanted to see if this was the real deal, and obviously that's the real deal. But I appreciate that. It looks like a great spot, and of course it's been around for so long, and I'm sure it's important to your family. And I wish you guys the best of luck with all of that. So, Fran, I guess we know where we're going when I come down to visit you in Los Angeles. We're going to go there.
Let's go.
Let's go there, for example. So let me, if we can, we've kept you long enough. We said we're going to try to keep you an hour. We went over already, so I hope you have nowhere to go. Right?
No worries, we're good.
It's all good. So we test you on that. I do want to just talk about something that I heard you talk about before, and I know it's important to you, so it probably ties in with you. You're walking your dogs in the morning and things like that. But you meditate and you do yoga and things like that. And I just wondered if you could just share generally with us a little bit about that practice. Does it tie directly into spirituality for you? Is it just a physical thing? Can you talk about your practice of meditation and yoga?
Yeah, it's all the above. I mean, it's mind, body, spirit. It's, I think, all those things, and keeping all those things in balance is, for me, very important. Both on and off the road. I mean, that's one of the things that I talk about all the time when people say, how do you tour all the time? How do you stay balanced? And that's one of those things. And when this whole COVID thing started, I actually read a book called The Miracle Morning, and I already have a lot of these different practices, but this book was great because it helped me to organize the morning and really get some sort of structure, which all the structure went out the window when all this kind of happened, right? Structure of life. So reading this book was helpful for me to really solidify my morning practice. And basically it consists of 6 things, and they use to remember the things, it's SAVERS, SAVERS. So you do 6 things in the morning. You start your day with it. Morning, whenever you start your day, really. S, it's scribing. Sorry, it starts with silence, and which is like a meditation. Affirmations. V, visualizations. E, exercise. R, read something towards your goals. And then the last S is scribing, which is writing or journaling. So doing all those things, or a combination of those things, and it's great because he says how Elrod is the writer, and he says even if you have 6 minutes, like even if you don't have an hour, however long, 6 minutes, do each of those things just for 60 seconds, and that's better than not doing anything at all. And so doing these things, having this practice has really helped me to, especially during this time, stay motivated and inspired, and just feel a sense of balance in a time where there's really no balance at all.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. I'm just wondering, does it tie into, so when I say spirituality, I'm not pushing up against religious doctrine or anything, but I'm just wondering, is that part of it important to you? And does it show up in your music, or does it show up in your philosophy of life? Where does that show up?
It's absolutely 100% important to me. And as far as music, yeah, I mean, it's part of like creation and creating. I mean, that's part of like being your authentic self and really, you know, allowing yourself to do those things. I mean, when we little children don't have it, there's no hold bars with kids, right? Like they're so creative and outgoing and precocious, and they don't care who's watching, and or you know, there's no fear of being judged, and we lose that as we grow older. So I think keeping up a spiritual practice and opening up those channels can help for your music or any endeavors that you're doing creatively or otherwise. I think it's just really having that balance all around is important for all aspects of your life.
I agree 100%. I love what you just said about when young kids are so open, and the old saying is that we were all born geniuses, and of course we get de-geniused as we grow older.
We get blocked, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Fran, I know you, as we near the end of the show, I just want to make sure you get it in. I know you love talking about movies. Of course, you're a filmmaker. That's what we talk about. Oh, yeah. I know that we definitely got to ask Eva about what she's watching these days. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, like, what are some of your favorite go-tos on tour? Like, you know, I remember when I was touring, and anytime like Tombstone or Goodfellas would come on the bus, everybody's up front watching it.
We were big Game of Thronesers on the road. Like there was a crew of us that would like watch it when it came on every Sunday. We'd pick a hotel room and someone's room, and we'd all watch it together and freak out. And,
right.
So yeah, we were watching that on the road. What else? Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. A couple of us were watching that on the road, which was fun. And sometimes it's fun to get lost and just, why get too heavy when you're out there a lot. Game of Thrones is it can be, that was like intense.
Oh yeah.
And The Office is like, I remember on one tour, it was just The Office and like funny stuff. Oh, Little Britain. Like we were all about some Little Britain for a while. Watching Sacha Baron Cohen movies on the bus, like those are favorites.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hysterical.
The Ruddles, like just really, I think laughter is a big thing for
you know what got on my nerves, and I can't even stand to hear the intro, and it's got the craziest funky bass thing is Seinfeld.
Oh yeah.
I was on tour with a band called Stained for about 8 years, and the crew, when I was on it was actually the band bus, but a couple of the guys were long time, so they rode with the band, but they would watch Seinfeld 24 hours a day, and I'd hear that damn yep. Yeah, I was like, I don't ever want to.
Which isn't even a real bass, I don't think. I think it's
exactly
like a keyboard thing.
Yeah. It's funny, man. And by the way, I have to tell you, I don't know if you know. Do you know David Ellefson?
I met him through you through
through
the doc. We have a picture of us actually at NAMM.
Yeah. Yes. That's right. The NAMM thing we did with Monster. Yeah. Well, he told me to tell hello. We had dinner the other night. He was in town. Yeah, and he's like, she was so rad in that movie, and So
I know we've been bringing on bass players. I don't know what it is about
bass players.
The coolest bass players, like Eva, of course, you are certainly one of them. But David was on, and we had Rudy just recently as well. So again, all
Scotty Edwards
and Scotty Edwards.
Do you know Scott Edwards?
I don't know Scott.
He's old school. He was one of the old 70s session guys, man. Played with everybody from Glenn Campbell to the Pointer Sisters and Peaches and Herb.
Oh, wow.
He's in Stevie Wonder's band with Ray. Right?
Yeah, he was in the original Stevie Wonder, Stevie Wonder band.
I'm gonna have to look him up.
Got to get you hooked up on that for sure. Yeah. No, that's great. It's fun. It's like it goes back to what you talk about the films and watching TV and watching the shows. Frank, talking about hearing things over and over again. It drives people crazy. Even to your point, getting the gig, getting called back, and so on is you got to be able to get along with everybody, right? And so, I mean, if you're on the bus and you look, I love what Rudy said. Rudy said, if you look around the bus and you're looking for the jerk and you can't find them, it's probably you. I just thought that was just brilliant. I just love that. So, like you said, if someone's watching Seinfeld 25 times in a row, you got to give that a rest. You got to give that a rest. So, Eva, before we go, I always got to keep Fran fresh, and I got to make sure he's always truthful with these conversations. But we want to make sure that people get to know you differently. So I have a little thing called This or That. It's so simple. This or that. You just choose between one of these two things I'm going to ask you, and then there's a sentence at the end I want you to finish. But I've been playing this with Fran, and I'm going to put them all together and just to see if he's always accurate, because I can't tell if he's always truthful. I think he's truthful, but we're going to see. So let me just quickly, whatever comes to your mind, you answer, and we'll just go through this.
What comes to my mind or to Fran's mind?
Well, both. We're going to see how close you guys are aligned with each other. We're going to see right now. We're going to see. So let me start with this. We'll start with this. So it's this or that. You just pick one or the other.
Okay.
Let's start with this. Whiskey or wine?
What does that mean?
What would you choose?
Whiskey.
Yeah, wine for me. For sure, yeah.
Spider-Man or Batman?
Batman.
Yeah, Batman.
60s music or 80s music?
60s.
80s.
Stones or Beatles?
Oh man. All right, I'll go with Beatles.
Yeah, Beatles here too. Yeah.
These are tough.
Okay, food wise, I'm going to try to stay away from the English pub food. I'm going to stay away from the English pub food besides the fish and chips and all that stuff. Chinese food or Italian food?
Italian.
Yeah, Italian.
Italian food. Vacation wise, Europe or Caribbean?
Killing me, man. Caribbean.
Europe.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Convertible or truck?
Truck.
Convertible.
I really want a pickup truck, so I think I've got a truck on the brain.
Right? You got all that bass gear. Come on, right? You got all that bass gear. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Sunset.
Fame or relevance?
Relevance.
Yeah, relevance too.
Hope or freedom?
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom.
Freedom. And I want you to finish this sentence for me if you can. I love my life because
it's perfect.
Well said. Well said. Hey, you passed.
Thanks.
I don't think it was really a test. It's more for Fran. But
I like that. I like that.
Well, it's just fun because it gets to let us know. I used to have little ones in there like cat or dog, but I already know with you. I mean, obviously that would be, I'm assuming you like cats as well, but dogs, I mean, if you have a 16 and a half and a 14-year-old, yeah, that's a lifetime. Those are your children at this point in time. There's no doubt. They absolutely are. So listen, I so appreciate you being here, Fran. This is a great interview again, bringing people together from Hired Gun and from people in our lives that you cross, in your filmmaking and in music and all those kinds of things. I did not put something up here, and I did want to show this for everybody. Cat and Fiddle English Pub, thecatandfiddle.com. We talked about it earlier in the show. That is in Eva's family. Please, if you're in that part of the world and you got to get out for a pint or a bite to eat, support your local business. Okay. We want to make sure everyone's doing that. Also want to put along the bottom there, evagardner.bandcamp.com. Make sure you check that out. And of course, we just watched the video of Love and Drugs, and I sure hope you call me even first, but you don't have to, obviously. But when you do an acoustic version of that song, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm so glad we got it here on this show. It was fantastic. You did a great job. We so appreciate you doing that. So we hope you had fun. That's the most important thing. We hope you had fun. And thanks to everyone watching on the show. Let's just see if we can get a few more comments in here for you, Eva, before we go. I'm looking at, let's see, here we go. I play the bass. I sink in, but I still love it. Or just throw a couple ones up here. I'm a fan, Mexico. Look, fan from Mexico.
Hi, everybody.
There's lots of people here just loving this and look awesome. I want to make sure you're seeing some of these. We're trying to get through next, hey, we'll do it again and we'll open it up to some questions and stuff. I think that's the most fun is bringing on people so that they can chat and maybe have an opportunity to connect with you. Look at this. Look. Eva, love you.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, this is so awesome. Thank you.
Sending all the love to you. So we wanted to make sure we got that in. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your talent. Thank you for sharing yourself with us today. Fran, always a pleasure, my friend, to see you as well.
Likewise.
So let's make sure we do it again, everybody. And we will do that. You take care of yourself. Eva, stick around. Stick around when we've done this little thing here. We'll come back in a second here in the green room.
Cool.
Take care of everybody. Be safe out there. See you, everybody.
You guys.